Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. My name is Dustin Cormier, and welcome to another episode of How to Rock Astrology. Today, we will be continuing our series discussing the oh-so-fun and radiant and optimistic moon in the sign of Sagittarius. I am a Tropical Vedic astrologer, and in particular, if you want to learn my idea of the moon in Sagittarius, this is my own sign, by the way. Hi, fireworks. Check out my video that I did on moon in Sagittarius just a little bit ago. It's an hour long, and it'll really give you the nuts and bolts of what the moon in Sagittarius is all about. Today in particular, we're going to be talking about what this character is like when they also have Capricorn in the sign of Venus. I did totally just say that, didn't I? I meant Venus in the sign of Capricorn. There's a lot of positive to be said about this combination. Really, this Venus is being given a chance to compensate for what might be a little bit of a lacking capacity for water inside of the Sagittarius moon. The Venus in Capricorn is grounding. It's delighted by its friend, the Saturn, which rules Capricorn, as we're going to talk about. It's not at an angle to the moon, which means this Venus is not starved by the moon. It can do what it needs to, at least based on its sign and its position from the moon. And this Venus, at least by sign, has what it needs to compensate for what is kind of a lacking Svadhisthana water energy in this particular moon. This is a moon that'll dry itself out if given to its own devices, as you might have learned from my last video. Now, I've been doing these videos and kind of giving an essence of what the moon in Sagittarius is all about and why it needs Venus to compensate for its lacking of contributing to the Svadhisthana, the water chakra. In essence, the moon here is in the sign of a neutral planet. By being in Sagittarius, it's in the sign of Jupiter. And Jupiter is neutral to the moon. In Vedic astrology, we take a lot of concern and importance to the relationships of the planets, especially the relationship of one planet to the sign that it's in. This is how we define dignity in a lot of ways. The moon here is in the sign of a neutral, Jupiter. It can be, so it's not a friend, but it's not an enemy. Really, though, the ill side of this is that the moon is still very close to Scorpio. And Scorpio is where the moon is debilitated. Remember, debilitation and exaltation work by proximity. And this is one sign away from the debilitation sign of Scorpio. The moon in Pisces isn't as bad because it's receptive and reflective, and moreover, it's closer to Taurus, where the moon is exalted. This moon is in Sagittarius. It's very close to Scorpio, and it's in the masculine aspect of a masculine planet. Jupiter. Jupiter's a masculine planet, like the sun and like Mars. It has really, it's building towards what it wants to do, not necessarily what it wants to be in the lunar dimension of the feminine side of things, but what it wants to do. And this feminine planet, the moon, which is supposed to be a grounding of the aspects of ourselves, of our connection to the energy grid of resources and support to all around us in a mutual regard, where usually if we have a strong moon, we know how to really give selflessly to something that we consider, that we love, and that's important to us at the level of what we are. You know, the sun is like what we do from 9 to 5. The moon is who we are when we come home and what we come home to. And the moon, ideally, is a feminine planet, and so it would want to connect to the dimension of what we are, and it would want to nurture what we are, so we can mutually be nurtured by those that we love, so we can be sustained and continue with the highest vitality that we can towards a sustainable life path of conveying what is conveyed by the sun sign. Your sun sign wants to do what it wants to do, and the moon usually needs to be supported, or we all need to be supported in doing what the sun wants to do. And we typically find support through the way that we attract it through the moon sign. This is a moon which is in a masculine sign, Sagittarius, ruled by a masculine planet. And it's close to the debilitation point of Scorpio. That's really what makes it bad. You know, the moon in Aries is good, you know, like it's neutral anyway, just like Sagittarius, but it's close enough to Taurus that it's, you know, that masculine nature is applied caringly to the feminine dimension of what we are, and it takes care of, you know, what it is supported by. The moon in Sagittarius kind of can't be bothered at its, you know, at least by sign. It's much more concerned with sapping, taking energy from those who support it and saying, thank you, honey, and then going and doing something that it enjoys doing, giving itself the space to do some ambitious things, which is part of our nature. I'm moon in Sagittarius, right? It's part of our nature, but it's ultimately defeating to what the moon is trying to do, sustaining us, right? And this is important because, well, you know, I'll say this. The moon in Sagittarius is close enough to the debilitation point in Scorpio that it leans a little too close to itself, to its own energy, and to its ambitions in its career. Really, what we say about any moon that's too close to Scorpio is that it tells itself, I don't want to lean on external things for my own energy. That's something that would make sense for the sun to say. That's why the sun is exalted in Aries, but the moon is exalted in Taurus. Cohesion, doing mutuality in order to do what the moon wants to do. Essentially, you know, it's cool, it's all great that we, you know, the moon, when it's close to Scorpio, it says, I don't want to need or depend on external supports for my happiness. The caveat of this is that you need to do it all yourself. And you do it yourself by running through the freedom of the things that you enjoy doing in typically an outgoing way, in a way that's not grounding, in a way that's not anchoring. That can be okay as long as it's in balance. And given your own devices, it's probably not going to be in balance, at least in terms of Sagittarius moon. Now, the Sagittarius moon can neglect its lovers. This is, you know, when we lean too much on our own nature, we miss out on the nature of what we are not and what we could be. And as well, the moon, by being in Sagittarius, typically misses out on the Svadhisthana chakra, the water chakra. Because the water chakra is the support from the energy grid of the people in the world around us. And if we nurture that, we are further nurtured by it in a mutual cohesion, again, so we can sustain what our sun is trying to do. And it's supposed to douse, the water chakra is supposed to douse the ambitions of the fire chakra, so that the ambition of the fire chakra doesn't make us like Icarus. Icarus went to fly as close to the sun as he possibly could, but he flew too close for too long, burned himself, and ruined his career, injured himself, made himself unable to get to the same heights in a sustainable way that they would have wanted. You are an ambitious person, yes, like me, Sagittarius moon. Now, thankfully, you have something that kind of saves you here. You have Venus placed in a way where, as I said, in the Vedic idea, Mercury rules the first chakra. Really, the chakras are ruled by several things in different ways. But in the Vedic sense, Mercury rules the first chakra, boundaries, earthy management of needs. The Venus and the moon rule the second chakra, the Svadhisthana chakra. Since your moon is being sacrificed to the fire chakra, and you're very ambitious about how you enjoy yourself, it's up to Venus for you to have responsibilities of enjoyment that ground you and anchor you to people who will tell you the importance of slowing down, taking your energy so that you can see the big picture and want to apply it ambitiously, but Venus in Capricorn wants to do this for the long haul. So they are attentive to the limitations of their own energy, and they enjoy functionally grounding the Venus in Capricorn in you enjoys functionally grounding itself in the earthy sensual energies of sensual enjoyments in a way that is going to be continued, that is going to fit your character. Venus in Capricorn tends to be, they say that they are more patient when picking lovers because they're looking for one that functionally works. And once they find one that functionally works, they tend to it. They water it like a plant. And then the water from that plant gives them oxygen and water back, essentially. So you are kind of saved here, although you should still consider everything I said in the Sagittarius moon video. And everything I've just said as well. Thankfully, Venus in Capricorn, it can ground you in commitments to a lover or to people around you, the energy grid of support around you, and it's through Venus. It's essentially you have value, you see the value in other people, and you have value to those other people. They come to you for the value that you uphold for those people, for your support group, for your loved ones, for your family, for your lover. And by doing that, the energetic nature of your moon is allowed to go in, okay, we're all good here now. Yes, now I can go and I can do squirrel around and do my Sagittarius moon thing. Great, rock and roll. See you later. As is so characteristic of Sagittarius moon. It's only a bad thing to have the scattered emotional energy being sucked up into your Manipura chakra, into your ambitions, if you don't balance it with with Svadhisthana, with something that douses the fire, that gives you a feeling that you're not just burning yourself out, that you're not just kind of, Sagittarius moon can get depressed when the only way that they unwind is the thing that they love to do, which is work on their recreational ambitions and practices and hobbies. Venus in Capricorn here is going to ground you in activities that are separate from what you emotionally enjoy doing through your ambition and your hobbies. It's going to ground you with people who socially probably still cater to that. You'll even probably still find a lover who functionally, remember, you've still got the moon in Sagittarius, which kind of uses its emotional grounding to sustain the ambitions that it likes to pursue in career. If you feel good moving forward in your career, and any lover that you get with needs to respect this and give you the space to do that. But you also need to reciprocate by showing value to the person that you're with. And if you have a good Venus, they won't obstruct each other. Although ultimately your lover might it's the way the Sag moon is that your lover will communicate with you and say, I would like to have experiences of being close to you and of you sharing your joyous energy with me. And I want you to want to do it. You might hear that once in a while. And depending on how well your Venus is placed, if you have a good Venus, you're just going to do it naturally. You're going to understand the value of it. And it's like taking care of a vehicle. You're going to put in good fuel, which is expensive, but it's going to sustain the vehicle longer in the long run. And if you really value that vehicle, you're going to do that. I mean, vehicles are whatever because they're interchangeable. But a lover, if you find a soul connection with someone who really functionally works for you and is grounded in your soul, then you're going to give them the best of what they're looking for, what they're asking for, and you're going to meet them in a practical, functional way. Part of the reason for this is because Venus is in the second house from the moon. So Venus here is giving some data about what you need to essentially sustain your psyche, your erotic psyche, and to feel good when you go and do the things that you do at work. Your partner will probably give you experiences that are earthy, that kind of like make you feel like a little bit of like a god, like a rock star, like somebody who really rocks their socks, or who respects and appreciates what you have built for each other. So that, it's kind of this thing where at some level, Venus is a confidence that we can't lie about. And it has to do with it's like if I'm a guy and when I sit with a bunch of guys, oftentimes, especially men of all different ages and generations, we all kind of come down to we all talk about what we've done in our lives. It's just a guy thing. We like to talk about what we've been, what our ambitions have done for us, and where we've gone with it all. And I've seen many people with the Sag Moon-like energy who lack Venus, but who will say, I've done this, I've climbed Everest, I've done so many things, and let me just tell you all the things that I've done. And then you say, great, man, that's super great. I got to send a text to my girlfriend because she's just, she's telling me something that's nice. And they are like, because if they don't have a girlfriend, they don't have someone who they know has grounded their true confidence in an intimate feeling that they are worth something at a Venus level, then all of the things that they've squirreled around and done doesn't really matter at that sort of human level, if you know where I'm at. So you are somebody who is probably well served by the erotic psyche fortification that your lover gives you, and it helps you to build on your career. This is the second house from where your moon is. Second house from Sagittarius. Sagittarius being an ambitious sign, having Venus in Capricorn is always the second sign from Sagittarius, even if your moon's not there, right? So this is grounding the functional vehicle that sustains your psyche. Second house, Taurus, sexiness. It kind of relates. This isn't the same as the second house from the rising sign, but there is a resonance with it, that it does ground your erotic psyche, depending on where Saturn is in the chart. If you've got a Saturn that's not well placed, then this might feel like it's difficult for you to sustain this thing which sustains your erotic psyche, or it's difficult to sustain your lover. Ultimately, no matter what, this Venus is in a good place because it's not aspected by the moon, it's not starved by the moon, and it is delighted by its friend Saturn. Venus has Saturn for a friend. So when Venus is in the sign of a friend, in particular from Saturn, what happens is that you instinctively, it's like there's a gene memory of everything that your lover's done for you, which you're just naturally going to reciprocate. Let's say that you go to the movies with someone and you're a Sagittarius moon and you don't think about your own enjoyment per se. You more think about how much you like doing things on your own, but often Sagittarius moons don't ever have a preparation for a party. That's a Taurus thing in the area of Taurus. Taurus will know what to do at a party that makes everyone enjoy it, and they'll do it specifically to the people that are coming to the party. Sagittarius moon doesn't think about the people at the party. It thinks about itself and what its stories are that it can convey to everybody, not just specific people, but everybody. And it can get tiresome sometimes with Sagittarius moon. It's like if 5 out of 7 people in the room have heard Sag Moon's story, but 2 people haven't, Sag Moon will be like, okay, it's all right. You guys have mostly heard this, but these 2 haven't, so I'm going to say it. And everyone's like, eye roll. Okay, do your thing, because it's going to make you feel good, Sag Moon. But for you have a way of expanding the enjoyment that you have with people intimately, because you have a memory. Saturn has this earthy memory of when a lover does something and they show you an interesting thing that you've never really realized before. Like, let's say they say, let's go for a movie. And you go, right, okay, cool. Sure. Like, I was thinking of going and seeing this movie, and you kind of throw it out there because you don't know anything about the person. You've never thought about, let's say you're just someone who hasn't dated for a while. You haven't thought about what kind of movie other people like. So, the lover will say, so you'll say to them, well, I was thinking of going and watching this Iron Man movie. And they go, okay, sure, great. And then you go out with that person, you watch the movie, you enjoy it, you go home, you text them next week, and you say, hey, I'd like to do for you what you did for me. What kind of movie would you like to go see? This is this earthy memory of reflectively giving the same water that was given to you. And Saturn feels like the need to reflect it in this way. Venus in Capricorn in particular feels the need to reflect it. You might even be someone with your blunt Sagittarius energy who, in relationships, when somebody does something to you that's negative, you'll probably hit them bluntly with it in the same way. This is not always a good thing, and I would recommend that you meditate on the compulsive nature of your Sag Moon energy so that you don't do this just because it feels good to you while ignoring how it's ultimately going to come off for your relationship. But some level of this is the Venus in Capricorn being honest about what is functionally being damaged in the relationship. So you'll probably speak to important things that are good for the relationship. And this is another reason why Venus in Capricorn is a good thing for the Sagittarius moon energy. You actually have something that is pulling you at a genetic memory feeling level of the water, of what is actually going on in your relationship. And even though your mind is out here on what you are doing, you have an ear to what you are through the bonding of your partner, because your partner is part of what you are. It's part of that lunar energy, right? So this is a graceful position for the Sagittarius moon. Now, I always like to kind of give my sort of spiel on these sorts of things. And I guess I should say before, ultimately this is just signs. Wherever Venus, the aspects to Venus from its friends, Mercury and Saturn, thankfully it's delighted by Saturn by being in Capricorn. So you have that, that's a positive thing. But Venus by Shadbala, which is a Vedic quantifying technique of a planet's strength, it likes to be close to the 4th house cusp, It could be close to the 10th house cusp. It could be with Saturn, and no planet likes Saturn actually being in the same sign as it. It's a bad thing. Venus could be with other malefics. There could be things that could damage this Venus in different ways. So you have these things, but just keep in mind that just because I've said that Venus in Capricorn is all good energy by sign doesn't mean you get off scot-free. Just like how, just because you have Sagittarius moon doesn't mean that your moon is really going to be all that bad and all that ignorant to the lover in your relationship. We're just talking about by sign energies now. Now, that having been said, feel free to ask me more about that if you like. I'll do my best to answer comments. I like to give my spiel on these, and now, at the end, I like to give a little rap about erotic astrology by Phyllis Vega. It's kind of taking it down to a lighter conversation about the lovemaking style of Moon in Sagittarius with Venus in Capricorn. Moon in Sag, Venus in Cap. In matters of the heart, you are a unique combination of idealism and pragmatism. Being idealistic in anything will kind of work, but the Venus in Capricorn is like something specific will work best. While a steady, enduring relationship suits you on many levels, you do crave a certain amount of excitement and even a flirtatious social energy, as I mentioned. Fun-loving without being too frivolous, you are gregarious, chatty Cathy, and conversational about all things up to a point. Your serious side is more concerned with practical achievements than with socializing. Driven by the same desire to succeed in the bedroom as in other areas of your life, you work hard to please your lover. And this is ultimately the saving grace here. It's the same energy that you put into your ambitions, that you work hard at, you're going to work hard on playing with your lover so that they have a good time, so that you can bond and fortify the energy. You can fortify them and bond them with you so that you have the freedom to deserve going and squirreling around on a rocket like Sag Moon does. It's a good auspicious energy, especially a good auspicious Venus for Sagittarius Moon. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys dug it, if it felt accurate, and if it made you enjoy your energy. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. I'll see you guys on the other side.